House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
What we enjoy doing here on House to Home, everybody, I'm Jason, that's Liz, that's Gina, is passing along information, obviously, and we want to get you up to speed on the topic that we dealt with last week. We, of course, had the Honorable Senator Chris Duenas here shedding light on the fact that there may have been a stymie or a roadblock, however you want to phrase it, in terms of movement or progress on this long-standing issue, multiple years now, about families that have land and decedents unable to build on their property. So I wanted to ask the two ladies here. First of all, happy day to both of you.
Happy day, Jason.
Good morning.
I also love the fact that both of you have color coordinated with your background. That's not a virtual background. That's actually their office, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, have you received any feedback? I'm sure you have, either from colleagues or from people on the street or from people you just see, when you're shopping at the market and everything, about last week, and have people come forward to say, yes, I too am affected by this, or I would like to lend my voice to this issue.
I think we both have had people commenting, and we're telling them contact the senators. We gave them the list of the senators that have not, who are opposing that particular bill. So we've given their names for them to bombard the senators. So I think both of us, we feel that this is a very important issue for the people of Guam, that this issue addresses a number of things. It addresses the disparity between parental subdivision property owners and decedent map owners. And the other issue is a nitrate reducing system that would allow people to build on the island. So we're hitting the grassroots movement for people to go and complain to the senators that they should support this bill. But there's another recourse that Gina will talk about as far as what the families of decedent maps are working on right now.
And I hope that several of those senators have their phone bills paid, because their phones are probably going to be ringing in the next couple of days and everything. Yeah. So Gina, what you're always working the phones yourselves and everything like that. Have you received any inbound calls from people asking you about it?
Oh, absolutely. Not just calls, but Mr. William Long, who actually stopped me at a store recently because he was listening to the story and wanted to talk about it. Thank you for that conversation, and please, continue watching the program so you are made aware of what's going on. But what the families that I've been working with have decided to do, Bill 175-37 is the bill that Senator Duenas introduced, along with some other senators, but he introduced it to modernize the septic tank system, to basically put into the law the type 4 nitrate reducing systems that EPA was advocating for. But there are a group of senators who don't want this bill to move forward, and particularly Senator Sabina Perez, who's been holding this in committee. And so the families that I've been talking to, and Liz has talked to them as well, they've decided that this bill really isn't, they've been waiting patiently for the bill to pass, because that was the solution that EPA gave. If we had a nitrate reducing system on Guam, we'd allow you to build on your land with that new system. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but not being able to use your land costs far more than paying more for a septic tank system. So these families have patiently for a couple of years now, okay, we're not going to get a building permit. So if this law goes into place, if it gets passed, then we can get a permit based on this new law, nitrate reducing system. So they've been waiting. But now I think we've come to the conclusion that with the senators stalling this bill moving forward, it is time for them to go to the government and seek justice. Why are they being treated so unfairly? Why are they the only entity of owners that are being asked to promote the wellness of our groundwater, and nobody else is asked to do that? They're the only people being burdened with this. GWA is not burdened with it right now. I mean, they're moving forward with some projects, but they're not being told you cannot do this or that until you install new sewer systems. Parental landowners are not being told you cannot build on your land until this bill passes. Only decedent landowners. So they've decided this is unjust. The law says we are exempt, just like parental landowners are exempt, and yet EPA is not observing that section of the law, and we want justice. And the way to get justice is to take this issue up to the courts. So they have an attorney who has agreed to represent these families, and they have decided to take this issue forward and go to the court and ask the judges, these maps were approved by court order. Why are we now being told we cannot use our land? And this is exactly where they need to go. No matter what happens to this bill at this point, I think these owners have been damaged. And I do believe that this is their only route, their only recourse is to have the attorney move it forward. And so I am sharing this information with the public because if you have been denied your building permit in the past or presently are facing any issue at all regarding getting a building permit to build on your land, please contact me at 687-8885 so that I can get you in touch with the attorney who is taking up this cause and wants to move it forward, along with the other families that have already decided this is the route they're going to take because enough is enough.
And we always talk about timelines in the show and turnover times, with regards to, working with the banks or, like for a home loan or, or the inspectors and everything like that. Liz, what are we hopefully working with in terms of a timetable, to get more people to come forward and then hopefully, join this cause if they feel so inclined?
Well, I think Gina and I are doing two-pronged approach. I've been working with our legislative committee with the Guam Association of Realtors, and we've been meeting with Senator Chris Duenas and a few other senators who support this bill. But we're working with him to find different avenues to push the bill forward. He has support, but we need to make sure we have the full support that when they do present it on the floor, that the votes are there. So I'm working in that arena, and Gina's working on the arena with the different families. In terms of a timeline, I know that the legislature is supposed to meet again, where our committee is meeting on Friday, and we should get an update from Senator Duenas at that time as to his approach on how to get this bill pushed forward and voted on so that, in his point of view, as he mentioned, is like if there are any issues that any of the opposing senators have, well, let's have a discussion, bring it forward towards the floor, have the discussion, debate what's needed, amend what's needed. But just bear in mind, we've gone through 4 years. We've amended this bill a number of times to ensure that it is in alignment with Guam Water Works, EPA, and the Attorney General's office. So we've already reviewed it, so it's a matter of pushing it forward. So in terms of what do they oppose, then put it out in the open, as Gina puts it. Sometimes there may be some hidden agendas and different issues that need to be discussed, but be above board, put it on the floor, put it on the table to discuss so that we can iron it out. Why let the people suffer? Again, this has been a 4-year process. And in terms of trying to get it resolved, hopefully by the next floor session, we can get it moved. And Gina's approach is different on the other end, but we're both working both approaches to push this thing forward. And one thing I want to put out, the government, some of the government officials and maybe even the senators, some of their feedback and how they hold back on this bill could be they feel that the developers are buying up properties, they're cutting it up, and they could be even using parental subdivision. I want to point out, we cannot discriminate. You cannot say that we oppose it because these developers, if they're of different nationalities, who are they going to, if they do a parental subdivision, for example, I've sold a number of them, and they do the parental subdivision. Who are they going to sell it to? It's got to be the locals who buy these homes. We're in a housing shortage. Why are we going to hold back at that using different rationales to support their opposition. Put it on the floor. Let's talk about it.
Okay, we're not going to name names, of course, as far as the people who have lent their voices. We'll save that for the officials doing that. But do you have a sense of the sentiment or the emotions of the people that now they have kind of like gathered more, and they say strength in numbers and everything? Are they more shocked to say, like, I thought I was the only one affected by this, oh my gosh, it's you too? Or are they saying, okay, if I know there are more people like me, let's join together and let's try and make this work by having a common voice?
The people that are coming forward and the people I've spoken to, it's really more about disappointment.
Okay.
Imagine these people have been waiting more than 2 years thinking that this is what so EPA asked for a nitrate reducing system. And then they told us, well, that system is not in the law. Your legislature is the one that needs to act on this to put it in law. Once that's in the law, then we'll be signing off on your permits. Who would have ever thought that you would bring this forward to the legislature to go through all the work of finding out that this system, the Type 4 system, has actually been on Guam. It's been tested for 10 years. And more importantly, it's being used in Asia and in the United States. This very same system, different manufacturers, exactly the same system. In fact, I spoke to a gentleman in Texas who used to be a contractor in Guam, and he was telling me that this system he uses at his ranch in Texas. And he says, Gina, the water that comes out of it, I use it to irrigate my lawn, my plants, because it's so clean when it comes out of my system that it could actually, he said, you can actually, there's manufacturers that promote, you could actually drink it. But of course, we'd never think of doing that, right? I would never think of doing that. I don't care how clean they say it is. And so
Would you use it in the garden if you have vegetables?
That's what he does. He uses it in his garden. But so imagine these families, they completely believed in our process. They believed in our legislature. They believe that going to the legislature and saying, hey, we have great news. This is the solution. EPA is advocating for this product. Can you write it into law so that we can finally have some justice? And then to sit here for 2 years, it's going on more than 2 years with Senator Perez, and to not have honesty, to have them have this bill now. Senator Duenas picked it up and he introduced it. And to not have the senators be honest and say, you know what? We oppose this bill because we don't want families to be able to cut their lots into 4 parcels. If you have an acre, we're opposed to that. We know it's already in the law. And in previous legislatures, they wrote this into the law to address the fact that housing on Guam is so expensive. We want, that this was something to address that problem. But we're opposed to it. This is a new generation and we're opposed to it. But
okay,
let's pass the bill about the nitrate and deal with that separately.
Okay,
they're not being honest, Jason.
Yeah, I apologize for cutting you off there, Gina. I wanted to say, ladies, final thoughts just to wrap up. The two of you, because of this program, wind up, whether you like it or not, but you do a very, very good job of it, being the faces and the voices of the realtor community on Guam. What feedback do you have from your colleagues, either within your own brokerage, within your own agency, or the more broader Guam realtor community about this issue?
I think with the realtors that are on our committee, we're right on it. We've got our finger on the pulse of it. So advising all the other realtors on the island, because they all have clients. Many of them may not be aware of the current situation, and this program definitely is an opportunity to get the word out for them to come and rally forward with their clients who were denied building permits. But, thank goodness for this program, because it is making a difference for our community. And I thank you, Jason, for always being there to help us through this process.
Of course. And Gina, final thoughts from you, because you use the word, that you're not classifying this issue as a missed market opportunity or or variance in valuation and everything like that. You said this is an injustice in your view.
It is an injustice. There's no other way to look at it. And you know, your question about the realtors in our community, please be aware, and this is a disclosure to the consumers out there. Within the last 6 months, I had a buyer come to my office saying, you know, I bought this piece of property and I'm now being told I cannot build on it. And I looked at it and immediately, I mean, you can just look at the map and immediately know, you're absolutely right. This is labeled a court-ordered map. The lot is 1,000 square meters. You absolutely can't build on it. So I just want to tell the public, make sure if you're going to be buying land from Chalampago up north, and you're buying a piece of property that's less than half an acre, that you question your realtor and ask, is this property buildable or not? And if they can't answer you, then go to their broker and find out from their broker. But you got to ask, because there are, I imagine, many realtors out there who don't have enough guidance about this issue, and they may not be able to steer you in the right direction. So please be aware of that.
All right, thank you, ladies. So I guess, you know, the last 2 weeks we've been, you know, shedding light on this issue and the fact that there was no movement on this. Hopefully what we've brought to the forefront this week is there might be some conversations being had, and some people have come forward. So there may be a little bit of progress, and you know, that's how it starts. So ladies, we thank you as always.
Thank you, Jason.
House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.